Hello, everyone. I am Seray Ergene, and I'm an assistant professor at the University of Rhode Island in the US. The paper I now will present is based on my dissertation work at the University of Massachusetts Amherst under the supervision of Marta Calas. Marta and I have collaborated in writing this paper titled Reclaiming Sustainability Through Organic Cotton Seeds. We begin our paper by situating ourselves in the ecological crisis that is due to large-scale human impact on the planet. In our field, management and organization studies, these life-threatening conditions have been studied really in the natural environment and sustainability research domain since the late 1980s, the last 40 years. And today, a growing scholarly interest is visible with more space dedicated to it in the prominent journals today. So, but while there's an expanding research on sustainability, grand challenges and climate change, there's still not enough questioning on the core premises of human superiority in our theories. Earlier research had discussed that the large-scale concerns we face today are actually consequences of human exceptionalism, which is a view that conceives humans ontologically separate beings and superior to the natural environment, meaning animals, plants, and earthly matters. Our paper really takes up this issue, and we squarely look into this in this paper. So what we're doing in this paper is we explore human-earth power relations. In order to address that, we develop a new analytic frame to capture these power relations in our studies. After developing this lens, we narrate a human decentered case study, non-anthropocentric case study based on an ethnographic fieldwork. So here in this paper, we draw from feminist new materialisms to develop our analytic approach. There are many variants of this philosophical approach, but the common underlying element is that they share a Deleuzian ontology of becoming. The unit of analysis is affective relations and assemblages these relations create. And power is conceptualized as productive forces and capacities to affect to form other relations. So these three elements are really the core of a feminist, new materialisms. In developing our lens, we specifically draw from Donna Haraway's concept of nature culture, Diane Cooley's concept of agentic capacities, and Gibson Graham's concept of flow of surplus value. So weaving these concepts together, we advance becoming natural cultural as an analytic approach to study human-earth power relations in everyday organizational practices. So this ontological view requires radical empiricism, where events and assemblages need to be understood and studied locally. So in the rest of the paper, we craft a case study of an organic cotton's industrial journey. So the case study is a story of a production journey of a sustainable t-shirt along its garment supply chain. Specifically, starting from the farms, I visited all the facilities that cotton passes through in its becoming of a t-shirt. By the way, this is part of my dissertation work, as I mentioned at the beginning. So I've conducted the field work in Turkey. I'm a Turkish native, so my first language is Turkish. So that was very accessible for me. So I visited all the facilities that cotton passes through in its journey. So the sites I visited are namely the organic cotton farm, the ginning mill, the spinning mill facility, knitting facility, dye house, And finally, the cut and sew facility where the t-shirt is cut its final shape. So in other words, I actually conducted a multi-sided ethnography at an organic cotton t-shirt supply chain. The corpus of data on this study comprises my field notes from my participant observations in these facilities, transcriptions of the interviews, and documents that I collected at each facility and beyond those facilities. I also made interviews with NGOs and people outside of these facilities as well. So in writing this case study, I utilized the methodological insights from actor network theory. And is really helpful for us because of its, the ability to incorporate non-humans in research accounts is really important for our case. So that's why I utilize ANDs as I wrote the case study, as we try to craft a human decentered story. It is not really possible for me to capture the case story in this very short video, but in a nutshell, we narrated a human decentered story, trying to make visible the more than human agency of workers, managers, cotton seeds, machines, dyes, and chemicals during an industrial journey of cotton seeds in their becoming of a sustainable t-shirt. So some of the key implications of our paper are, so I mentioned here 3. First, the analytical approach that we're developing, becoming natural-cultural, problematizes anthropocentrism from a relational ontological view. And in doing so, it reminds us the materialization of human superiority every time we refer to sustainability. So making visible those power relations. Second, our study, the case study, illustrates that it is no longer viable attempt addressing ecological and social concerns through a human-centered eye, through human-centered approaches, which really categorize human problems on the one hand and environmental problems on the other hand, and then tackle each with separate policies and practices. Contrary to this approach, becoming natural-culturalist suggests co-constitution of socio-ecological issues and implies abandoning the human impulse of controlling nature. So finally, our narrative, case narrative and reflections illustrate the tensions in crafting a human decentered story, and it shows the struggles in resolving anthropocentric premises in research endeavors. We wanted to be reflective on that point as we experiment with writing a human decentered story. Thank you very much for listening our paper's very short video. Thank you.